I, many years ago, had a bit of a hiccup in my life, and I had spent the previous 40 odd years and 20 years of that in the world of self-employment, and been successful in as much as, you know, never really sort of worried about where the next meal was going to come from and all that sort of thing. But what I found was when things went wrong, I couldn't make it work. However hard I tried. Who's ever had that you say, oh, I know this thing works, right? But when you try to get it going, when you really, really need it, you just spin the wheels and nothing happens, and it just gets worse and worse and worse. Okay? And that is why you need, and I'll keep referring to this because this is the secret of it, everything, is that everything comes from a relaxed state. Okay? So every single thing that you do, if it comes from a state of stress, it will create more stress. If it comes from a state of anxiety, it will create more anxiety, okay? And one thing you can rely on, negative thoughts work. Every single time you have a negative thought, you are actually convincing yourself that negative thoughts work. Now, if you actually now take that over to a positive thought, you don't monitor the positive thoughts. That's the trouble. You just keep sort of noticing the things that are going wrong. Now, in life, everything leads on to the next thing. So you are in a position where you can actually change what happens to you simply by changing your feelings, simply by changing your thought process. Okay? So whatever's happening, you can actually say, stop, reprogram, put new information in. Okay, when something goes wrong, when you actually sort of you're trying to thread a needle or do anything intricate or whatever, and the more wound up you get, the worse it gets. Then if you just calm down, reassess the situation, go at it again, 9 times out of 10 you'll thread the needle straight away. Things will sort themselves out. Okay, so the first thing that you've got to learn is that the action that you take now generates the next action. The thought you take now generates the next thought. Now, if you've got any sense, by the end of the day, you will be convinced of this because there'll be so much information to sort of let you know that this is what happens. That gives you absolute total control. It means that if things are going wrong, stop, put in some new information, some new thoughts, change the thought process, and you will change the result. Not maybe, not sometimes, guaranteed. Okay? But there's a rider. As in all these things, there's a rider. A lot of people, and after almost 30 years now, I can tell you that people come up to me and say, how many times do you think I've heard this is a load of rubbish? More times than you can shake a stick at. But I just point to lots of people, and you'll know a lot of people that I've worked with that are having results that are just far beyond anything they could have possibly dreamed of, purely and simply by following information. But it's that your results don't come from this conscious thought. This is where people sort of run aground because they think that they're thinking something, but deep down is that voice, Sally, saying, don't talk rubbish. You can't possibly do that. You're Sally from the wrong side of the tracks. That won't possibly happen, right? So what you've got to do, and today this is what we've got to do, because you've got to know how this stuff works and why it works. So it's no use you sitting there saying, yep, I believe that. But deep down, the voices down there saying, no, you don't. No, you don't, right? So we've got to actually get deeper because all this information comes from your subconscious mind. Your conscious mind, right, handles the day-to-day stuff, but the actual deep down direction that you're going in, the decisions that you make come from a much deeper place. And until such time as we can quieten all those bloody voices, we're in trouble, okay? Because as I said earlier, where you are now, Wayne, is where you're going to stay unless you take on new information. But it ain't no good. And this is why people fail, because they read a book and they go, that ain't worked. What's the best thing to do? I know what to do. Get another book. Read that book. That ain't worked. But very much like learning a trick, Dave. You can read a book about the trick, okay? But if you're not prepared to put the time and effort in to learning that trick and making it work, does the trick work? Yes. Were you prepared to put enough time and effort in to make it work? No. And that's what happens with these teachings, right? People say they don't work, but they're not prepared to put in the time and effort. Now, listen, today, and I hope this is true, but by this evening or mid-afternoon, you lot are going to believe you can walk on bloody water. And that's not going to be me motivating you. It will be you going in there saying, hang on a minute, this makes sense. Actually, I believe this guy. Actually, I think what he's saying is true, okay? But there's no good if you're just going to think that that's going to carry you through. This is something that you've got to do all the time. You've got to firmly believe it. And you're going to learn later my famous 2 questions, which I'm sure Kerry remembers even from all those years ago, because they will get you out of so many scrapes in life, it's untrue. So it's all down to your programming. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to turn around and I'm going to start the information. That's it. Can everyone see that? Yeah, that's all right. Okay. So we've spoke. This is my picture of the brain. Okay. And it's not actually to scale. It's not to size, because you'd have trouble fitting that in, but it's just so that we can all see it. That is your conscious mind. Okay. That is the bit that is making instant obvious decisions, right? But this is your subconscious, and this is where you've got all the problems, and this is the bit we've got to sort out, because in here is one tiny little bit that is left over from when you're a child. And what we're going to try and do today is we're going to try and get your brain back from all the turmoil and rubbish that you're experiencing now to when you were a child. Okay, now I'm going to plunk that in early just in case, and I call this the play area, because when you were young, your brain worked perfectly. When you were 5 and 6, you didn't have a mortgage, you didn't have the car payments, you didn't have the problems with children, putting children through school, you didn't have any of all the headaches, the day-to-day things that are just absolutely tearing you apart now. All you had was a brain that accepted that you were able to do anything. And when you were younger, if you imagined that you was a cowboy, you had no trouble going into the world of make-believe and sitting on the back of that bloody horse, riding across the desert on it. Everything was simple. If you believed that you were going to be some famous pop singer in the future, you believed it. It was true. There was no problems. There were no barriers in you having those thoughts. And you're going to learn today how to transfer that childlike ability into changing your life. Because the bit we're after is this bit here, okay? And what happens is that the play area has been squeezed and squeezed and squeezed with all the programming that you've had, and it's squeezing the play area, because this used to all be play area until the people started putting all this rubbish information in. And there's information like money and hard work are related. Who believes that? Who thinks that you've got to work hard to get money? You can talk to me. I'm medically trained. Put your hand up. Do you believe that you've got to work hard to get money? You've got to work hard to exist, right? You've got to work hard to exist, because if that's your mindset, all you'll do and all you'll keep doing will be existing, okay? Most people with lots of money don't appear to do anything, right? And that is the switch that you've got to make today, is that money becomes a result of a process, okay? It is the easiest thing. It's created out of nothing, right? But we give it so much value, okay? Because, oh God, I could do with that. We start chasing it. We start chasing it. And trust me, the easiest thing to get in business is money. And you have got to make that change up here. And you've got that thought at the moment, whatever you say, that thought that money is the easiest thing to get. Who's got the deep voices arguing with them about that statement? Who's got the deep voices? Wayne, he's being honest. So, right. So put your hand up if you really, honestly, totally, 100% believe that money is the easiest thing to get out of a business. Put your hand up if you really, totally, truly believe it. 2, 3. Okay. So the rest of you pay attention, because once you make the switch, once it's not just in the conscious mind, but once you've got no voices down below arguing with you, right, trying to change your programming, then you are on the road to success. Because once you make money your friend, it will want to come and jump in your pocket, right? So who programs us? Well, the first people, I'll do mum there with a little growl there, because she's had to look after you. Dad's all right. He's been up the pub. He's okay. Right. So mum and dad are your first influences on life. Now, they have not done anything intentionally to harm you. What they do is they program you not to do things. Okay? Now, unfortunately, until you experience something, it doesn't make any sense. For example, if you're a young child and you've got a boiler or something, a fire in the room, you could say to that child, don't go near the fire, you'll burn yourself. Now, the word burn doesn't mean anything to that child, okay? Oh, don't go near the fire, you'll burn yourself. The word burn doesn't mean anything. Then the child puts their finger on the fire and burns herself. Guess what? They now know what burn means. So your parents, as an analogy, have spent all your developing years telling you not to learn what burn means. Does that make sense? You've got to be allowed to experience the things before they make any sense. And unfortunately, mum and dad have been told the same thing. So it is a series of people just trying to protect you. But the best thing you can possibly do, you think of nature, right? Animals don't stop their young experimenting. They just let them go off and learn, right? They just let them wander through and sort of, you know, if they're going to have to sort of learn to swim or whatever, they just let them do it, because that's the natural way of learning. The human beings mucked it all up because we think, oh, we can stop that person, you know, having any grief, because if you don't do anything, you can't fail. But the thing is, what you should be told is that failure is the stepping stones to success. You can't be successful by jumping in one jump to where you want to go. You've got to go through the ups and downs, okay? So, mum and dad. Then you go to school and you meet the teacher. Now, he's got a huge smile on his face because he's really mucked your life up. He ain't got a clue what's going on, the teacher, right? So there's the teacher at school, and what we talked about is the imagination, your ability to actually picture something and believe it is important in these teachings, very, very important. But you sit in school, and I don't know, I wander like that, and you sit there and you're daydreaming. We ain't got time to daydream anymore, have we? We're so busy with our phones and everything. But in the olden days, you used to daydream, right? And you sit there and you'd be miles away like that. And the teacher can't say, are you paying attention? And he'd clip you around the ear hole. But you can't actually do that now, but you used to be able to do it. So he clips you around the ear hole, doing something that is the main part of these teachings. So mum and dad are stopping you doing things. Then you're now daydreaming, which is an integral part of these teachings working, and you're being told that's wrong. And then you meet all sorts of people. My mate here, who's this we're talking about here, Gordon? Bill Up the Pub. Bill Up the Pub. Who knows Bill Up the Pub? He's a great fella, and he Bill Up the Pub. He's a wonderful bloke. Everything that you do, he got a better way of doing it, right? And you go in there, let's just say you're going to have an house built or something like that, and you wander in the pub and you're all excited and you get your plans out, you open them up and everyone's, oh, that's great, oh, fantastic. And Bill hears the noise over the other side, from the other side of the pub, and he rushes over, pushes his way to the front. So what's going on here? Oh, just talking to... He said, I wouldn't use them tiles. And I'd have a drive going in and out here, and you look at Bill and you say, Bill, I thought you was a greengrocer. Now, Bill, the greengrocer, is now giving you all the information, and you've just paid an architect who's been to university and studied the bloody years to do the drawings, and Bill's picking them apart. Who knows Bill, right? Now, the trouble is that what Bill tells you goes in. The rubbish goes in. Then you got Bill's mate, if it were me. Now, he's a bloke that does nothing, but is full of good intentions. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that. If it were me, right? And then a new member of the gang, Dad's sister, Auntie Lil. There's Auntie Lil. And she's the lady that you used to go and see when you were having all the dreams, and she'd say, what are you going to do? Well, I'm going to open my own business. What? Open your own business? Are you bloody mad? I was talking to Bill at the pub the other day, who knows someone who's got a friend who knew someone that opened a business, and they went bloody skint. Right? I wouldn't do that. Too risky. Okay? Another bit of valuable information for you, and it coming from someone who ain't got a bloody clue what they're talking about, and yet you've took that in. Okay? All the fears and inadequacies that you feel at this point in your life have been programmed into you by well-intentioned people. Okay? So when you tell them to shut up, or please be quiet, whichever way you want to do it, as long as you get them to shut up. Okay? When you tell them to shut up, you're only stopping them keep you are at the moment. Because all this information here is pinning you to the spot. Right? And every fear and trepidation that you've got about life is coming from these people, the programming. Now, you all know you've all got your different people, but there are people that have guided you wrong. And the person that told you that hard work and money were related, go and find a bloody great big baseball bat and beat them over the head with it. All right? Because that is bad information. Okay, so there we go. So we're talking about this bit here, the play area. Okay, now you've all still got that little bit, and I'll tell you how we find it. Right, when you go on holiday, you look at a brochure or you go on the internet and you look at all the places that you want to go. All right. Then you select one and you go and pay a, David, can you just turn your thing off just a minute, because it's a bit disconcerting, because I've got a gallery view here. It's sort of a bit disconcerting. Cheers, matey. So you go and you look at a brochure and you've got the holiday that you've selected, and you go and pay the deposit. Now, this is important, guys. Listen to this carefully. As soon as you pay the deposit for that holiday, where does your mind wander to? It wanders to the holiday. Correct or not? Thumbs up? So, okay. So immediately that we are committed to the holiday, our mind automatically goes to the holiday. Now, as we're thinking about that holiday, do we think of it pissing down with rain? No. Do we think of things going wrong? Missing the plane? Or things going wrong, stubbing your toe on the beach, or getting rushed off to A&R in Benidorm or something like that? No, what do? We imagine the sun shining, lying on the lounger, doing all the things that we want to do on holiday without any bad thoughts at all. But every time that you think into the future of your life that you want, okay, what do? Number one, you want to know how the hell it's going to happen. Number two, you put all the what ifs that Bill and if it were me and everyone else has put in, all the hurdles that you could possibly do. Who does that? Who thinks into the future that something would be nice, but they put hurdles in the way to get into it? Everybody, okay? Every single person does that. And yet, when you're thinking of your holiday, you don't have a problem. So that's another little thing that you've got to do. So when you're actually thinking in the future, think back to this, which I call the holiday brain. So we've booked the holiday and we're now ready to go on holiday. So we pack our cases, we get on the plane, sitting on the plane. Well, Val's just corrected me there. Val packs the cases. I done her a right favour the other day, actually, because she had one big one and she was struggling with it. So what we've done, we've invested to two smaller ones now, so she balances her up a little bit, makes it a bit easier for her. So Val packs the cases. We've got to keep this correct. I don't want anyone sort of getting me on sort of some politically incorrect statement. Val packs the cases and carries them to the airport and puts them in the thing and takes them all through. And then we go through and we get on the plane. And we're sitting there having a lovely drink, nice little gin and tonic or something. And our mind is relaxing. Not quite totally relaxed yet, because we're still thinking about, I wonder if they'll remember to feed the dog. I wonder if this will happen, okay? They're all still there because we're leaving them alone. And it seems irresponsible, doesn't it, to relax and enjoy ourselves, right? Because we've been told that unless we're knocking our pipe out, working hard, things are going wrong. Okay, but it's slowly happening. Anyway, we land at the other airport and we walk through customs. We come out the other side, and now I love it because when the doors open, you get that lovely Mediterranean smell. Who's experienced that? You don't get anywhere else. That nice warm evening and the lovely smell. You're on holiday. And the old mind's relaxing a little bit more now. Still one or two little bits bouncing about, but not bad. So you go to your hotel, have another gin and tonic, go to bed, you get up the next morning, get yourself all spruced up, and then you start walking down the street. And what do you notice? Everyone's got a smile on their face. Well, most people are smiling. And it hits you a little bit because you're normally walking down the high street in the UK where everyone's bleeding miserable, right? Because they've got all these problems and headaches that are dragging them down, right? So That's the first thing you notice. And then all of a sudden you go in and think, well, I think I'll have a little sit by the pool. So you go and grab a lounger, one without a towel on it, so that you're not nicking someone else's seat. I'm normally politically incorrect there when I make that statement, but I won't do that today. And you lie on the lounger, and now, who's with me now? Your head's just about to go back on that lounger. The sun's shining, the pool's there. How relaxed is your mind? Totally relaxed. And guess what starts happening? All these amazing things start jumping into your head. Who's had that? Lying there and you think, bloody hell, that would be a good idea. I'll do that, or I'll change this, or, oh, I wonder if that would work. I'll give that a go when I get home. And all these wonderful things are going through your mind of what you can do because you're in the play area. You're in the bit of your brain that when you were younger, you didn't have any trouble making these visions of the future. Okay? So there you go. Then the time's up and you're off back to the airport. Bloody hell. I enjoyed that. I wish I'd booked another week, right? We've penalised ourselves a little bit there. We've only given ourselves 2 weeks. We should have had 3 or 4, really. Anyway, I learned a lesson there. I have 2 or 3 months now, which is handy. But that's only because I know the rules, right? And hopefully you lot are going to have the rules soon. So we go back, we get to the airport, go through all the business, Val, getting the stuff all through, ready on the conveyor belt, through security and all that. Says to, but he's with me, he's all right, he's with me, because I'm wandering around like dazed. I don't know, that I can't manage without that input. Back on the plane, right? And we're just flying over. And as we start coming in to the airport, what starts happening, guys? Ping! All the things that were jumping out on the way over start jumping back in on the way back. Oh, I wonder if they fed the bloody cat. Oh, I wonder if they did this. I wonder if they did that. So all the stress and strain that you left is now bouncing back into your mind, okay? Until by the time you get home, you might as well not have gone, right? Who's had that experience? And you know what you've done wrong? You didn't take your bloody notebook with you on holiday, because all those ideas that you had were brilliant ideas. Every one of them will work, and you forgot to write them all down, right? So the next time you go on holiday, make sure you've got a bloody notepad with you, because all the amazing stuff that jumps in, because the only thing that stops those ideas working is your programming. Crazy, isn't it? Eh? Don't go out and start beating all these people up when you leave here, for God's sake. But they ain't done you no favours, all right? And the sooner that you learn how to control all this, the better. All right? So, who's got the idea now of the bit that we're searching for, the play area? Who wants to increase the size of the play area? Right. This is what we do then. Every time we minimise the input that these people have, it gives the play area room to grow, because all that's happened is we've squashed it up. Does that make sense? So the bit that's really going to do us the favours is now we're struggling to actually get into it. We've got to fly off there and do it. And that's why I created Worry-Free Island, because that then is a way, and if we've got time today, we'll go through a little process of doing that, but that's a way that you can mentally do it. And this is the crazy thing, guys. Remember this. You can fool this. You can put anything you want in here, and provided that you believe it, your brain will grow it. Okay? So you can put anything you want in up here. You believe it, your brain will grow it. Whatever you plant will grow. So all the time that you're planting negative thoughts and ideas, Your brain is your faithful servant, and it's growing them out of all proportion. Scary, isn't it, Ian? Eh? It's really scary. So what we're looking to do is to quieten these voices down and give the play area a chance to grow. Now, this is the bit, this is a really scary bit. Pay attention to this, because this is absolutely scary. Whatever you are programmed as, whatever this programming is, and listen, every single one of you is programmed differently. Every single one of you looks at something and sees something different. We're all totally unique, but the rules don't change. This is not serving you at all. And the sooner we get rid of it, the better. Because whatever you're programming, we're going to call it A. So every single person here has got a different programming, but it's A. A is where you are. Then, out of the blue, a silly old bastard with grey hair and a fancy shirt comes and he says to you, boy, guess what, guys? The secret of success is B. B. And you all look and you go, B? I said, yeah. That is how simple it is, guys. Every single person can change their life once they know B, right? So, when you've got A thoughts, you put any information in and it comes through there to an A result. That's your programming, right? And unless you consciously change it, that's going to be it. So that's why you're stuck in one place, because whatever happens, you keep coming up with A. So when someone comes along and says, listen, it's simple, it's B. Nothing we're going to learn today is difficult to understand. The trouble is, it's difficult to apply, because we all convince ourselves that the thought is the thought, but it's not. The dominant thought is coming from all these people. So B is success. It cannot fail. Trust me, if you do B to the letter, you cannot fail but increase the your life, your enjoyment of life, increase your wealth, increase everything, right? So what happens? You've just been told this, and this is your brain. This is your brain now. B is the answer. Ding, in goes B, right? And up here, your conscious mind's going, hang on a minute, hang on a minute. I don't know if we can accept this. So where does it go looking for its answer? Have a guess. Down here. So now you've got to try and convince all these people that B is a good idea. So B goes in, you're programmed A, what do you think is going to come out? A. Whatever you put in will come out A until such time as you change all this. Okay? Because you can go a lot mucking about in here saying, oh, well, yeah, I agree that, yeah, I accept that. Until it's coming from this place, this deep place, you are knackered. You ain't going nowhere. So listen, that is the important thing that you've got to do today. You've got to be in a position, okay? And there's some stuff that's going to challenge you a little bit, okay? But you've got to say, right, I trust the messenger, and if I listen and apply this information, I'm making everyone here a guarantee. If you apply the information that you receive today on an ongoing basis, you cannot fail, right? All that's going to happen is that you're going to try and squeeze B in here and really believe that you're going to follow this thing. But listen, all these people are still there. And until you are absolutely 100% sure that you've got rid of them people, it's going to be an ongoing battle. Who's experienced that when they're trying to apply something and then bloody voices keep poking their nose in, don't they? Eh? No, don't do that. You can't possibly do that. That won't never work. Right? Well, I can, and anyone who wants anyone to talk to, and I'm people that have actually worked with me who are a position that is so far above what they could have even possibly imagined, let me know and you can have a little chat to them, because that might be a little boost for you. Right. So, is this clear? All what you're hearing today, you're going to reject unless you take control of these people. Make sense or not? Right.